Hello, friends. Welcome to my basement. I promise I'm really standing in my basement between my garage and my bar. It's the sweet spot. And thank you for joining me here. There's a lot of places you could go right in the middle of the NFL season, right in the middle of the holiday season. We just finished week 13 of the NFL season. Actually, one more game left to go tonight. But we're pretty much done. We're getting a lot of answers to a lot of our questions, but I have a question for you. Do you want to see Baker Mayfield on the Niners? Let's just cut right to the chase. Do you want to see Baker Mayfield on the Niners? I'll tell you in a second if I do. He's suddenly going to be a free agent. The Niners have a really good team, but an inexperienced quarterback. Do you want to just throw water on that grease fire and try it? Let's find out. Also, the Eagles had a really cool thing happen over the weekend with their win over the Tennessee Titans that has to do with video games. Who doesn't love them? Also, we have a fantastic takes on take showdown. Do you know we're in the middle of a dynasty? Do you know that Michael Irvin, the playmaker, has never lost in takes on takes? You know he's 7-0? Is that right? 7-0. And he goes against a very erudite Dan Orlovsky to try to give him his first L. Irvin versus Orlovsky. That is going to be takes on take. But first, let's go to the sky cam. I'm going to get myself a backup plan. Hello, friends. Let's see if I can make it here. Do I even need the backup plan? You bet I do. Yeah! Always have a backup plan. That's going to be my new strategy. Just have 2 basketballs instead of 1. I made it. And I don't care if it doesn't count. You get in basketball, you get 2 free throws, right? If you get fouled, you get 2. So I made the second one. You have a problem with that, I don't care. Here's what I love, here's what I hate, and on a Monday, here's what's hilarious. Let's go. Eagles, best team in the NFL. Number one. They are better than anybody in the NFC. I think they're better than anybody in the AFC right now. You know why? Because they just played one of the teams that allegedly matters in the AFC, the Titans. And I had to put my hand up. Lover, fighter, and idiot. That was my big special, my upset special pick of the week. Titans over Eagles. It had less to do with the Eagles and more to do with the Titans. I just thought they can't just be irrelevant. They can't lose this many games at this point in the season. They can't stop Derrick Henry again. The Titans they have the natural buoyancy of being the Titans and annoying everybody and always staying relevant even though they're not that exciting. Well, they got crushed by Philadelphia, and Philadelphia accomplished something really cool. Philadelphia, check this out. Last week, Philly against Green Bay ran for over 350 yards. Whoo! 350 yards rushing, 350 yards plus. This week, the Philadelphia Eagles, in all their perfect construction and their talent-laden roster, threw for over 350 yards. Think about that. They ran for 350 last week. They passed for 350 this week. That is the first team to do that in back-to-back games since the 1987 Raiders. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love it that the Philadelphia Eagles are the Tecmo Bowl team. What do you mean, the Tecmo Bowl team? Just another lame video game reference? They're playing a video game? No. Do you go all the way back to the OG 8-bit Tecmo Bowl? I'm talking about the Bo Jackson one. That Bo Jackson Tecmo Bowl team, the one that launched the entire lore of the greatest video game player ever, TV commercials, books, endorsements, everything. That is the 1987 Raiders with Bo Jackson and Marcus Allen and Todd Christensen and Howie Long and Bill Pickle and Jay Schrader. That is the team where you press up and A, boom, and you run Bo right up the middle. Imagine that team is the stuff of folklore and Paul Bunyan-like comparisons of Bo. That's the team. The Eagles just did something that no one's done since that team. So you hear it all the time. Oh, it's like they're playing video games out there. It's like they're Madden. They're not Madden. They're before Madden. They're Tecmo Bowl. That's how good they are. Who's beating this team in the playoffs? Because I thought for a good while there, and it was going to be the San Francisco 49ers. I've said it right here for weeks. Niners at Eagles NFC title game. Sorry, Dallas. Sorry, Minnesota. Sorry, everybody else. Those are the 2 teams. Now we got a big old curveball in the Jimmy Garoppolo injury. So I look at Philly, who says, 1 week we'll run for 350. Next week we'll throw for 350. Maybe next week we'll have 350 yards and bleeping special teams. Who knows? We're just messing around at this point. We have 1 nominal loss. We're going to get the 1 seed. Everybody's still saying Dallas this, Dallas that. We'll see. We'll see about that. I think Philly's just so good. They even did the personal thing really well, where they go against the Titans and they get A.J. Brown 2 touchdowns. I thought for a second that they were going to punch in a 3rd touchdown just to say screw it and give A.J. Brown a hat trick. They ran it instead because they're classy, and I love Nick Sirianni. But just the fact that File this under if you know, you know. And if you grew up playing the Tecmo Bowl game, that's what they just did. You know, you can give me the Michael Vick Falcons team in Madden or any other team, any other superlative of the greatest video game football player ever. It still goes back to Bo in 1987. Although my really spicy take is if you wanted people to say that Bo's the best football player ever in football history, in video game history, Lawrence Taylor in the same exact game was so stupid you couldn't do anything against him. He would block every kick, every field goal, but that's a different matter. The Philadelphia Eagles are doing things that haven't been done since the 80s and haven't been done since a team that had a mythical figure on it running the up and A play. That's how versatile they are. That's how loaded they are. They are just, listen, you look at Philly and you're like, man, I hope they don't have the big injury. I hate to put that out there, but the injury gods are cruel and they demand sacrifice. They just got a huge sacrifice from the San Francisco 49ers. You would hate to see Philly any sort of big-time injury come because it's just so turnkey. You know that obnoxious phrase from HGTV, turnkey, the house you need to change nothing on? It's got all new open concept. It's got kitchen counters. It's got the beautiful white kitchen that everybody loves. Ensuite bathrooms, wide hallways, attached garage, heated floors, all that nonsense that you have. You don't have to do one damn thing. The powder room is perfect. The kids' playroom is perfect. Turnkey. You just turn the key, walk in, and start living. That's Philadelphia Eagles. They have a good kicker. They have good special teams, all that stuff. They are a true prime one seed who will get a bye and will have the home field advantage. It's pretty cool. You don't see that right now in the NFC because the rest of it is so blah and so bland and nobody loves anybody except for the Niners, which we'll get to in a second. But maybe there's a way we can still salvage that Niners-Eagles playoff game. Maybe we can still salvage that Niners-Eagles NFC title game. They have to make a change at quarterback. But until then, it's the Eagles and it's their world, and we're all just living it in the NFC. They are the Tecmo Bowl team. Let's get, though, to the topic du jour, and that is what I hate. Come on. I hate that the San Francisco 49ers might not sign Baker Mayfield. That's right. I hate that they might be reluctant to sign Baker Mayfield. I hate that they might say, we don't need Baker Mayfield. We're going to roll with our guy. We're going to roll with Brock Purdy and Josh Johnson, and we believe we can rally with this team. I just going to put my hand up as I have many times. I want everyone to know right off the bat, I am a Baker Mayfield fan. I do not know him personally. I've never met him. I've never interviewed him. I've never tweeted with him ever. I've just watched him. And I like the way he handles his business. Sure, it's been messy as hell on the field. Sure, he was a big bust with Carolina. It did not work out at all. I don't care. I do not care. I like the way he handles himself in the media, and I still think he has one of the strongest arms in the NFL. I really do. Look it up. Look up the Hail Mary that he threw a few years ago. 3 years ago. I think he threw it about 80 yards in the air. More importantly, here's the situation. Baker Mayfield, listen to my guy Ian Rappaport on NFL Network, asked for his own release. He said, let me out of here. Okay? I am now basically third string. It's going to be Sam Darnold and PJ Walker and then me. I do not think it is a coincidence that he asked for his release as the San Francisco 49ers starting quarterback gets hurt and they are a loaded team with a great offensive coach and all kinds of players around him. I think Baker's thirsty for the Niners. Now, even if they were thirsty for Baker, even if they said, we currently have the player chosen last in the draft as our quarterback. What if we could grab the player chosen first in the draft, from last overall to first overall to Brock Purdy to Baker Mayfield? Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should say, let's sign Baker right now. We'll have a few weeks with him, and he even can be a backup, and then maybe we put him into action, and if Brock Purdy, and everyone's shocked, doesn't work out. But let's say they decided to do that. Here's the lay of the land. He has to hit waivers, just like someone would in your fantasy league, all right? The Niners currently are 24th on the waiver list, meaning there's 23 teams before them that should they want to claim Baker Mayfield, they get to do it. The Niners are just out of luck. Now, most of them are teams that have no business or no interest in signing Baker Mayfield. Even if he was a really good quarterback who played well recently, they're just kind of set with their quarterback, or they're circling the drain on their season, not interested in taking the old defib paddles to it. There's a couple teams that are intriguing, all right? Houston, way, way up on the list. What if they said, well, we got nothing going on. We benched Davis Mills. We've been playing Kyle Allen. We're the worst team in the league. Well, maybe we sign Baker Mayfield for some sizzle, if nothing else. Baker is really well known down here in the South. He played college football at Oklahoma. He was originally playing college football in our state, so maybe we just sign Baker and throw him out there and see what the hell happens. Now, that'd be a nightmare for Baker. It also would probably not be good for Houston because they're cruising right now. Houston is money. Houston's saying, this is the weirdest season ever. We're still in the shock and recovery from the Deshaun Watson thing. We somehow still have Lovie Smith as a head coach. That's a real thing that's happening in 2022. And we're going to get the number 1 overall pick. It's going to be fine. We're going to be set. We're going to have the number 1 overall pick. It looks like the Bears are going to have the 2. So we're not going to mess anything up. Let's just cruise this thing out, circle the drain, go down the drain, and then we'll see you in, I think the draft is in Kansas City, where we have the number 1 overall pick in a draft that looks like it's got some quarterbacks. I don't think Houston's signing Baker Mayfield. Now, this one's good, though. If you scan through the waiver list, you can see it just no, don't want him, don't need him. There is one team, and it's the Rams. If the Rams wanted to sign Baker, they could do it. They're in front of San Francisco on the list. The Rams are a disaster right now. They're the zombie Rams. You don't even recognize most of the players out there. But it would be kind of a shrewd screw you to their division rival, the Niners, and the team that almost always smashes them, the Niners, to say, look, we're not going anywhere this year. But if you think for some reason that you're going to try to harness the talents and the competitiveness and the intangibles of Baker Mayfield and try to go win a Super Bowl with him, or at least win a few playoff games, nah, we're going to take him. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. We will take Baker Mayfield. You're not getting anybody. Good luck with the relevant boy. So the Rams could do that. Are they interested in that? I don't know. It seems petty. And it's not like Baker's going to save their season. Nobody's saving their season. So that really, if you don't believe either Houston or the Rams are going to sign Baker, then it just becomes a question of, do the Niners want to sign him? I believe that they should. I really do. Because I don't think they're going to fall apart under Brock Purdy. Of course not. They're too good. And he seems to be pretty able. He played one pretty decent game. And they could finish out the season fine. Maybe, who knows, maybe shock the world and win a wild card game. This season about the Super Bowl. This season about the Rams winning, this season is about the Niners winning a Super Bowl. And they've made all the moves that are saying, screw it, we're all in. We're making empire moves. We don't need Christian McCaffrey. We're going to get him anyway because we want to win the Super Bowl this year. I feel like just saying we're going to stay put here with Brock Purdy, who is a 7th round rookie, and saying, I think we can go to battle in the NFC with him. I just don't think that falls in line with all the other moves that they've made. You might think, well, what does Shanahan think of Baker Mayfield? They've kind of run in some of the same circles for a few years. You know, Kyle Shanahan's been around the NFL for a long time, and he knows quarterbacks really well. Baker, a Heisman winner, number 1 overall pick, very famous guy, brought the Browns to the playoffs. Well, Kyle Shanahan was talking about Baker back in 2019, a few years ago. And he was saying, well, you know, he's being asked about Baker's attitude, and he's outspoken and brash and all that. And Kyle said, I love that type of person. You can tell football means everything to Baker. He's going to give everything he has. I think he's a very good player. I loved him coming out of college. All right, so that doesn't mean he's going to sign him. This is a 3-year-old quote that's a little bit vague, but he's on record. He likes him. He loves the talent. He respects college football so much. He might be kind of into the allure of Baker. Here's what's going to happen, though. This is what you do if you're Kyle Shanahan. You have your own thoughts, and you talk to John Lynch, you talk to Jed York, talk to everything. You certainly consider it, and then you call Christian McCaffrey into your office. You say, Christian, sit down, man. How you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for coming away from your workout to sit down with me. So, Baker, what do you think? Christian McCaffrey was Baker's teammate like a month ago, and they spent the whole year together in Carolina, training camp, much of the season on the field together, going back and forth. These are two massive college stars, two very famous players in their own right. Christian, it all stays here. This is not for the media. This is not for the rest of the team. I want your input. Do you think Baker's a guy who comes right in here, learns the playbook, jives with the locker room, and can lead us if we need him to? I feel like Christian can be like, either that guy's a jackass or that guy's the man. I love him. I would love to hear what he has to say because he's got real input, and this is a guy that the Niners have invested in, McCaffrey, and they want to know his input. He's got invaluable insight into Baker. I'd love to hear his personal opinion because mine, listen, from the thousands of miles away outside of Kyle Shanahan's office, I still like him. I really do. You drop his talent in with Shanahan and all they got going and the best defense in the league, yeah, I think Baker could win. I do. It's late in the season. It's last minute, and he'd have to get in there quick and acclimate. And I don't know what they would do. If they sign him, he's not starting this weekend. I don't know if he's starting next weekend. I don't know, maybe he's backing up Bryce Purdy Bryce Purdy or Brock Purdy? I still want to call Brock Purdy Bryce Petty. It's no disrespect to Brock Purdy, but I feel like they're the same guy. Bryce Petty. Brock Purdy. I don't know. Brock Purdy or Baker Mayfield. I know Baker's really damaged goods in a lot of people's eyes, and it did go terribly in Carolina. And sometimes you watch him this year, and he's on the sideline for Carolina. You're like, man, he's about 10 minutes from being in a booth for Fox Sports 1 calling college football. I don't think so. He asked for his release. I think if you're sitting in San Francisco right now looking like, John, Kyle, Jed, do we really want to die on this hill with Brock Purdy? How much do we believe in him? I know they believe in him. They've kept him on the roster. This is a guy, they had 3 quarterbacks on their roster, and they kept him, and they liked him. And they didn't want to put him on the practice squad because they're going to let somebody else claim him. They like him. But how much could you possibly like a guy you took in the 7th round who just has 1 start? You really want to wager it all in? And this might be it. This thing can fall apart after this. We don't know what's going to happen with these guys, and if Debo stays healthy, and this is the best year of Bosa's career, and he looks like your best player, the time is now. NFC is not good. There's like 4 good teams, maybe. I think you make the move. I think you say, I'm going to roll the dice with Baker Mayfield's talent, and we're going to coach him up, and we're going to try to make this thing work. We love you, Brock Purdy, not Bryce Petty. But we're going to go with the number 1 overall pick. He's sitting there. He asked for his release. He wants to be here, and we think we can wield it. We're going to bring in Baker. If it blows up on our face, that's on us. I'd rather have it blow up on our face than have us sit here and just die a slow death. Let's go get Baker! I hope they do it. I would hate that they wouldn't. Let's get to what's hilarious. Come on. So the player arrival on game day industry is really taken off. And this is not new, and we've seen this since we were kids. The players arrive in the fancy outfits or the cool suits or the lame outfits and the bad suits. Makes me think of the NBA when they they instituted a very controversial policy about wearing colored shirts to games. Tim Duncan hated it, spoke out against it, and he would just wear like the lamest, worst collared shirts you've ever seen. Well, the NFL's the Instagram factor and all the fact that it's become so popular to point out and laugh at what guys are wearing as they show up to games. I remember even a few years ago when Mitch Trubisky was the Bears quarterback and he showed up one day to Soldier Field wearing the Ditka sweater and everybody lost their minds. Well, that was just a sign of things to come and just a drop in the bucket as far as the kind of examples we have going on now. The Jets who got a little bit of sizzle going, they showed up to Minnesota, road game in Minnesota against the Vikings, and they did a Mighty Ducks thing, which is very cool because, they're coming from New York City, but they're going into Hockeyville, and they're wearing the Mighty Ducks jerseys, the green ones from the movie, the ones with the duck bill goalie mask from the NHL, and I'm seeing Mike White and CJ Uzama. And then you got Braxton Berrios, who's wearing a Hawks jersey, who I guess I have to tell you guys, I'm sorry. I know I'm supposed to be like Mr. Wacky 80s and 90s movie guy, and I usually am. I have never sat through the Mighty Ducks. I've never seen it from start to finish. I know a lot of the references. I know they do the Flying V, and I know Gordon Bombay. As far as I understand, he gets like a DUI to start the movie, which is aggressive strategy for the wholesome family movie. And then he has to do like a work thing, and he coaches hockey and all that type of stuff. And the coach of the opposing team, I believe, is the opposing counsel, and My Cousin Vinny, it's that actor. I just don't know it, but I'm aware of its place in pop culture and that people get offended when you haven't seen the Mighty Ducks. No offense, guys. I've not deliberately seen it. I just missed it. And I love that the Jets are doing it. So they show up in the sweaters, but I love this one even more. Taylor Heineke, he goes to the Meadowlands. Look at that. He's dressed as Tommy Shelby from the Peaky Blinders. I've seen Peaky. I've seen the entire run. He's got the sort of like newsboy hat. He's got the suit with the collar of the shirt buttoned all the way up. And he's got the pocket watch. Where does one even get a pocket watch? Especially for Taylor Heineke. Like, this is the guy who was having beers on the plane, sitting in coach in a styrofoam cooler. He looks great. And it's like the second you do this sort of pop culture arrival, everybody loves it. Everybody loses their minds about it. He's not wearing a tie in the suit, which is ironic because he had a tie in the game. But he looks a lot like Tommy Shelby. You ever seen Peaky Blinders? It's fun. I think it's like I would give the show a B in general, maybe even a B minus if you compare it to things, whatever, Breaking Bad, Sopranos and stuff. It's good. It's entertaining. Arthur Shelby's hilarious. Tommy Shelby's really good. It gets really violent too. Those hats that they wear, they have a razor blade buried in there. And when they have to get in fights, if they don't have any weapons, they start swinging their hats at people and slice their faces up. It's really intense. So I like that part of it, and I like that Taylor Heineke likes it. First guy I ever who was way into Peaky Blinders a couple years ago, Josh Allen. Interviewed him a couple years ago, and he's like, "Oh, I love Peaky Blinders." And I was like, "What is that show? People are always talking about it." And I watched the entire thing. I think it was over quarantine. And Tom Hardy's unbelievable in it. So Taylor Heineke wins. But this is my favorite. Jason Kelce, he's done this before. If you look at that picture, do you even know who that is? Jason Kelce's wearing a weightlifter's belt, weightlifting gloves. It looks like some Ocean Pacific or Jams from the 1987. Backwards hat, bad sunglasses. That is such a deep cut. Jason Kelce shows up to the game for the Eagles dressed as Sean Astin's character in 50 First Dates. Let me just peel that back for a second. 50 First Dates, Drew Barrymore, Adam Sandler movie in 2004, in which the premise was Drew Barrymore, her memory gets erased every day when she goes to sleep, so she forgets the day. And so Adam Sandler takes her out on a date 50 times, and it's the first date, and it's a pretty good movie. It was kind of the follow-up to The Wedding Singer. But Sean Astin is in it, and he plays her, meathead brother, which was interesting because this came right after Lord of the Rings, in which, he's kind of big, chunky Samwise Gamgee. Well, for this movie, he was ripped. And he does this ridiculous accent, and there's this subplot in it where she and her family, Sean Astin and Drew Barrymore's family, are staging the same day every day. Like they have the same breakfast and the same clothes and conversations to make her think it's just the same day over again, which is really strange. It's a bizarre movie. I think it might be about, some sort of mental illness she has, but she has a brain condition, I guess, where only true love will fix her, something stupid like that. And today they watch the same Vikings game on VHS, and it's like Jim Kleinsasser catching a touchdown. And there's lines about Jim Kleinsasser, who was with the Vikings forever and who appeared to be an actual Viking. He's part of it. So Kelce said it's his favorite rom-com, and someone online called him and said, "Can you dress up as this?" And absolutely nailed the costume. You want something else hilarious? Incidentally, no easy transition here. In the early 2000s, I was an aspiring and sometimes successful, gainfully employed actor in Los Angeles, especially from 2003, 2006, when I was on Days of Our Lives. And sometimes you would get the person who ran our PR, she was this nice woman who ran PR for Days of Our Lives, and she would try to help out the cast and get them to promote the show and things like that. And every once in a while, she'd come in and she'd say, "Hey, does anyone want to go to a premiere tonight? I have 2 tickets to go to this premiere and the after party." And you're like, "Yeah, I'm 25 years old living in LA, and I'll go to the movie premiere for free and then go to the after party where there's free drinks and free food and movie stars and stuff. It's an awesome night." And so she said, "Do you want to go to the premiere of this new Adam Sandler movie, 50 First Dates?" And my buddy Eric and I, who we were on the show together at the time, were like, "Yeah, let's go. And there I am. That is me at the 50 First Dates premiere. I'm wearing a lei because the whole movie is shot in Hawaii, and everybody who showed up got laid. LEI''D. So I got to go to the premiere, watch the movie. It was fine. That's me and Eric, who look like we're on our honeymoon together, and I wish we were. We'd have a hell of a time. That jacket, that suede jacket that I'm wearing, this is where I was in life at the time. I bought that from Banana Republic to wear to the premiere, and then a couple days later, I returned it to Banana Republic. I folded it back up, because it was a $300 jacket in 2004, and I was not making very much money, even on Days of Our Lives. So I folded up the jacket and returned it. I wish I could say the same for those jeans and those bad Steve Madden shoes that I'm wearing, but the jacket I had to have. I'm like, "Oh, this is so good. I have to have this," even though I'm going to basically illegally take it and then return it worn, probably with sweat stains and a cranberry vodka that I spilled on it, to get my $300 refund. So Jason Kelce, I see you. I like the movie as well. Typically when we get the invites to go to the Hollywood premieres, it was the worst movies, just the dregs. I remember I went to a movie called Must Love Dogs which stars Diane Lane and John Cusack. I went to that premiere. And there's another movie, I think it was called Uptown Girls, which was with Brittany Murphy, rest in peace, and Dakota Fanning. And they'd be like, want to go to the Uptown Girls premiere? And I'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll go. Those were rough. But the 50 First Dates was like considered like, oh man, we get to go to 50 First Dates. This is a Sandler movie? Are you kidding me? Yeah, I'll go to it. And you go to it, and then little did you know that 18 years later, you'd be here in Kyle Brandt's basement talking about the Eagles center wearing the outfit from that movie, maybe on his way to a Super Bowl trip, because they just did something that no one has done since the 1987 Tecmo Bowl Raiders. That's how we tie it all together, and that's what's hilarious. And now, we have a very important showdown and a little segment that we call Takes on Takes. Lions, Tigers, and tailgates. Oh my! College football season is always the greatest time of the year. You put on a jersey, get your face painted, break out the foam finger, but it's all about the food. And nothing gets you more fired up for game day than Eckrich smoked sausage. They're naturally hardwood smoked and have the perfect blend of spices. From buffalo sausage dip to sausage chili mac and cheese, Eckrich smoked sausage is a quick way to bring flavor to all your tailgate meals. Visit Eckrich.com for easy, one-of-a-kind sausage recipes. Eckrich, you do you. All right, let's get right to it. Takes on takes. The takes are already out there this morning. We have gone and rounded some of them up from the morning sports television shows. We've grabbed some opinions from different people, and we pit them against each other. I have the numbers here, 1 through 10, like the slam dunk contest, where they hold up the 7 for Kenny Skywalker. Except in this case, it is 2 opinionists, sometimes provocateurs. I will grade their takes based on 3 categories: delivery, creativity, and heat. Now, first into the octagon, Michael Irvin, Pro Football Hall of Famer on ESPN's First Take. Michael Irvin has been in Takes on Takes 7 times, and he has never lost. He was in 3 Super Bowls and never lost. 7 times in Takes on Takes, and he has never lost. He averages a 7.08. Michael Irvin is going to be first in to see if he can go to 8-0. You won't believe this, but Irv has a take about the Cowboys' dominant win over the Indianapolis Colts last night. 88, the floor is yours.
And I opened this show talking about the network has crossed the Jordan. It has crossed the Jordan. Everybody has crossed the Jordan. That means they've come across the river, and they all know now that what I've been spewing right here since I got here in 2021, that the Dallas Cowboys are the best team in the NFL. Now everybody is seeing what I have seen for the last couple of years. You know, the last couple of years, the Cowboys have put up 49-plus points like 4 times. 4 times since 2021. 49-plus points 4 times. The whole NFL only has 3. The whole NFL, all y'all put together outside of Cowboys Nation, only have 3 all put together. The Cowboys have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. That's what I've been telling you. Anybody with an eye can see right now that Cowboy explosive offense is, there's no doubt the Cowboys are the best team in the NFL. Your experts right here on this network, everybody, all your ratings have said it. I don't know how much I need to shout it anymore. I really feel that a lot of my work is being done around here, and people are taking heed. They're learning. They're understanding what I see now. It's not just in my heart. It's also in my head. And more importantly, it's on the football field. Cowboys, best football team in the NFL right now, buddy.
I like that Mike goes in 2 voices. He goes from the Cookie Monster voice down up in here, and where he's doing this, and then he goes up in the little baby doll voice. It's great. You're here, and you're here. All right. Was there a lot of substance to that? I don't know. I'm always amused by the people like Mike who are just pure energy and experience when they go to the statistic. And it's difficult to do because sometimes it comes to a screeching halt when they go to their statistic. Mike made it work, and he had the whole thing about how many times they've scored 40-plus over the last couple of years versus how many times the entire NFL has. And it's great. He didn't stop to read it off a card. He didn't butcher it. He made it in his own persona. So that works. Continuously saying they're the best team in the NFL has some heat on it, for sure. considering like there is a juggernaut in their own division that I've talked a lot about today, the Eagles, considering there's like, that's what I like about Mike. He could have just said, they're better than the Eagles. They're the best team in NFC East. No, that's child's play. Then you kick it up. They're the best team in the entire NFC. Reasoned, probably prudent to say the best NFC, blew right through it, ran through the barricade. NFL. They're better than the Bills. They're better than the Chiefs. They're better than the Bengals. The entire NFL. There's no half measure here. Better than the NFL. He did it with a stat. He did it with multiple voices. And I always like watching the other people at the table while Mike is going. Molly's just trying to maintain some sort of control. God bless her. And then Stephen A., I saw he was working on his tablet. What is he possibly looking up? Some sort of statistic? Or is he texting with a producer? Or is he ordering his lunch? I don't know. But like, he already knows what Mike's going to say. It's not like he really needs to be that tuned into it. And do we need to be that tuned into it? Do you and I need to be? Here's the thing. I think Mike left some meat on the bone because it was kind of just regurgitative of what he already said many times. We know that. The stat was sort of interesting. I like the two voices, but I can only give him a 6. I'm going to give Michael Irvin a 6 for this. It amused me. It entertained me. But it didn't blow me away, and I don't think we got anything new here. And he averages a 7.08, so this is below his average. So what we're looking at here, guys, as we go to the second combatant, is the potential of Michael Irvin's first loss. To be knocked off the unbeaten, at which point I'm sure Larry Zonka or someone will toast champagne if he loses. Next up, to take on Michael Irvin, Dan Orlovsky. Dan Orlovsky, very smart, a lot of film work, sees the game in a whole original way, different approach than Michael Irvin. This is, style makes fights. Michael Irvin is a free swinger. Orlovsky is kind of bobbing and weaving, winning points at the end of rounds, doing the smart thing. He's also talking about the Cowboys win. But Danny O is going to take it in a very different direction. Dan, you're on.
Why you look perplexed?
Did everybody watch the games yesterday?
Yeah.
The Cowboys are lucky the Colts imploded.
Oh, wait.
The Cowboys looked...
I thought she was going on their side.
No! Ooh. Dude, I went to bed when it was 21-19 when Matt Ryan threw that touchdown pass, and I was like, ooh, I might wake up to it. Dude, the Colts imploded. You guys were impressed by the Cowboys yesterday?
Yes.
For what?
Hey,
For hanging
they started playing D, bro.
On an NFL team.
Yeah,
and by the way, that
50
NFL team
points.
had Super Bowl aspirations to start. I can't help that
In
they
August?
quit, that they let go of the rope. I can't help that.
Hold on.
But yeah, in August.
No. You've been around him too long.
Wait, did the guys
You've been around him too long.
rushing?
He likes it. Look.
Did
What
the
did I
guys
say?
lead the league in rushing last year?
It was
Shut up, Rex. Let him talk.
They threw another shallow cross to CeeDee Lamb. The Colts defense can't tackle. If the Cowboys don't get to the NFC title game, it's their greatest disappointment in 25 years.
Yeah, I agree
Easily.
with that. Yeah.
They got to go through one healthy team. That's good. That's the Eagles. I don't think they're good enough to beat the Eagles, but they got to go through one team. San Francisco, I still think is very good, but they're on their third-string quarterback. That's a reality.
Yeah.
I still think they're very good. But you got to go through a team with their third. Guys, they were up by 2 against the Colts.
All right, a lot to like there. I like that he was standing. He got out of his chair. I occasionally would do that in the morning, and it's just either you get so incredulous or your energy is so big, you just have to stand. I think that was authentic. I don't think it was performative. I think he really felt that way. And what I really liked is that he kind of crossed the line in morning television, which involved him insinuating or just straight up accusing his co-hosts of not watching the game, which is something that comes up on the late game. Because if it's a Sunday night game, listen, these guys, that was on Get Up. Those guys are probably getting up before 5 a.m. I mean, it's really early hours. They have to come into the city. I don't think Dan lives in Manhattan, so like he has to come all the way in. It's an early morning, so if it's Cowboys Colts and you've already been watching football for 8 hours that day, you may be like, just mail this one in and I'll figure it out in the morning. That's just being honest. That happens sometimes. You catch up in the morning, and you can watch the whole game in the morning on these videos they send you, but sometimes people don't even do that. I think Dan kind of accused, like, did you guys really watch the game, or you just say screw it and mail it in and say they're beating the bad Colts and don't care? And I think that's why Rex Ryan was ready to argue, because I feel like he got called out a little bit. Like, when you say, did you guys watch the game, It's almost like a little passive swipe at them about how thorough they are and their professionalism. So I like that got the table going a little bit. Then he had like a really solid take about if they don't get to the title game, or however he phrased it, if they don't get to the Super Bowl, it's their biggest disappointment in 25 years, because we know the Cowboys always fail in the playoffs, but this is one of the most supple, one of the pulpiest NFCs that they've seen in that time. The combination of the Cowboys do have a legitimately great team, which they don't always have, and then there's just nobody out there. They got a huge break when Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt, and there's Philly. And you know, if you want to listen to their fans and their players, they're not afraid of Philadelphia, whether they should be or not. So Dan's like, look, they have to beat one team. They have to beat the Eagles, who they know very well. If they can't beat the Eagles, or at least even get to the title game against the Eagles, this is a massive disappointment in the last 25 years. I liked it. I liked that he stood. I liked that he was genuinely incredulous, and that he admitted he was going to bed and didn't watch the end of the game, but then caught up on it. I also just like the take that, listen, you see the Cowboys put up that many points and you just automatically say, well, they're awesome, they're awesome. He's like, did you watch them? You were actually impressed with them? They blew the game, the Colts did. It was a really good take. In fact, that was so good. Guys, we got big news. He's getting an 8. Michael Irvin is getting his first ever loss, 8-6, not terribly close. Dan Orlovsky goes to 3-1 career, only has 1 loss, got a good record himself. And the way that he could have easily just said, yeah, the Cowboys are great, they're awesome, they put up a lot of points, and didn't. And he showed more offense to his table than even the Cowboys did against the Colts. I love it. He gets the win. Dan Orlovsky over Michael Irvin. Congratulations, Dan. You are the champion of takes on takes with an 8. That was a really good one. Great job, Dan. Let's get, though, to the segment where we learn about certain headlines that maybe I haven't seen or haven't got to share with you. That is something that we call Brandt awareness. Michael Flynn, super producer. Mike, how come you stopped wearing your transitions lenses glasses? Was it because I made fun of you for it, or did you get contacts or LASIK since you started wearing those, or since the show started?
I did not get contacts or LASIK. I'm fidgety with my eyes. I never could pull that off. It was half because I got a lot of open space here, so I didn't want them actually transitioning into sunglasses while on the air. And then and the other half is looking back at the episodes. There was a glare in it from the screen, and it just doesn't look good. So I'll just sit
all right.
really
Can you
close
see
to
sufficiently well to execute this segment? Can you see without the glasses?
Not especially well, but I'm close enough to the laptop where I can pull it off.
All right, so how many fingers am I holding up? What do you think?
6.
No, that's 7, dude. 7 fingers. It's 7. We just did a Mike video on you. Go ahead.
In fairness to me, you're on a very little portion of my screen, and I've got like my teleprompter Word doc on a bigger screen because that's what I have to.
You should probably make the show screen a little bit bigger. It was 7 fingers, but I do give you a thumbs up based on your preparation for this segment. Give me the headlines that we might have missed. That was embarrassing. I'm sorry, Flynn.
Yeah, I'll try to recover. Let's start with that game last night, but let's start with the Colts. You know, Jeff Saturday won his first game as interim head coach. It's what interim head coaches tend to do, but they've lost all 3 games since, including a disaster of the fourth quarter last night. The Athletic's Bob Kravitz saying that the Colts need a savior, and he thinks it has to be former Colts QB and current Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh. Kyle, you think we'll see Jim back in the NFL soon?
I don't know yet. I know this. Bob Kravitz, I don't think, just talks out of his rear end. Certain reporters, just for certain towns, that I don't run the town, but they really are like the chief of the NFL circle. It's the same way I feel about John McClain in Houston. Whenever he writes something about the Texans, I think it's usually something that's going to happen. So the Colts thing, I want it to happen. I want Jim Harbaugh's personal brand of weird back at the highest level of football. I really do. And he is a really weird guy. Very eccentric, very strange. And I think that's good for the NFL. I like that. And it's not like this case where Nick Saban jumped up to the Dolphins for 20 minutes and got his butt kicked and then went back to college. No, Jim Harbaugh was there in the Super Bowl. He was 1 throw away from Colin Kaepernick to Frank Gore to beating his brother and winning a Super Bowl. He had a bunch of great teams. He was a really good coach. He was winning the games with Alex Smith. He did great things. I'd love to see him back. To the Colts, look, I don't really care that he used to be a player there. I don't know if he really cares. That's just a little bit corny that he would be drawn to Indianapolis. merely because he used to play there. What would draw you to Indianapolis was, like all these guys, who is your quarterback? Who do you got? We just saw Matt Rule, who was a program builder and who did really impressive things at the college level a couple times and took college programs that weren't winning and just made them work. Comes up to Carolina, it just gets his head kicked in for the whole time he's here and then leaves and goes back to college. I got to hang out with him a couple weeks ago. We were with him and in so many words, he talked about what he would have done differently. But in my interpretation of it, there's a quarterback. You don't jump unless you know you're going to have the right draft pick and the right kid is coming out. It's like what Urban Meyer tried to do with Trevor Lawrence, but he wasn't a human being, so it didn't work out. Urban, I mean. And what Matt Rule just didn't have. He's like, yeah, it's great. I'm an NFL coach. I'm one of the 32, but what am I doing here? My quarterback's Teddy Bridgewater and Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. Oh, no, I'm fired. It just doesn't work that way. So Jim Harbaugh, the Colts, their quarterback situation is so stupid and so preposterous and has been since Andrew Luck retired, and they still haven't recovered. He's the coach next year. Who's their quarterback? They're going to draft somebody? I know it's not going to be Matt Ryan. Who's it going to be? So the quarterback has to come first for someone of that stature. This is not a guy who's trying to get his first head coaching job, who's, man, I would just love to get a shot here and get a taste of one of the 32. No, for Harbaugh to leave his alma mater where he's killing it to come back to the Colts, you got to have the quarterback in place. I'm one of the made guys. I'm a celebrity head coach who demand a huge salary and who you pitch me. I don't sell myself on you. You pitch me, Jim Irsay. So I'm not going to just jump and say, well, we'll figure out the quarterback. No. I got to have a guy. Or why leave? Why leave? I've finally figured out how to beat Ohio State. I've finally gotten Michigan where I wanted to be. And I don't know. Colts, I'm sure the Colts would want him. I still don't see the reason that Jim Harbaugh would want the Colts. I want him in the NFL. I mean, it's the closest we've come in the last 10 years to seeing an actual fist fight between two head coaches at the handshake line between him and Jim Schwartz, which was one of the all-time strangest post-game clips that you've seen. It's still so weird. Go back and watch it. But I still don't think that why he would want to jump to Indianapolis. I'm just not into it, Flynn. Not from his perspective.
Tweet that has the Colts starting QB of the next 10 years, and it's Brady next year, Rodgers next year, Jimmy G the next year, basically predicting every year that the quarterback will wear out his welcome in his own hometown. And a guy like Harbaugh's just not going to jump for that, and the Colts need to prove that they're past the days of the Rivers and the Ryans and the Wentzes and just the old guy quarterback.
I agree. I still think Jared Goff is going to be a Colt at some point. Ryan Tannehill is going to be a Colt at some point. It's just how they're going to do it. They're going to do a senior tour. I just don't think that Jim Harbaugh will be there for it. But I understand that's not the only coaching story we have today. What's going on?
No, we're sticking with college head coaches. Deion Sanders leaving Jackson State to take the head coaching job at Colorado, creating just a bit of drama when he met with the current Colorado players for the first time, telling them to, quote, hit the transfer portal, unquote, because he's bringing his own luggage with him. Kyle, what do you make of all the Deion drama?
He's bringing his own luggage, and it's Louis. So I try to get in the heads of those college kids who, oh my God, we have the worst season ever. I think they won one game. And their coach gets fired. And then you start to see these rumors about, man, Deion Sanders, yeah. And that's crazy though. Is that really going to happen? And you're texting each other and everybody's talking about it on the team. And then sure enough, damn, it happens. And then Deion lands in Colorado and there's a team meeting and you go to that little lecture hall, little film room they all sit in. And then Deion shows up and it's also interesting, those kids aren't cognizant of Deion's playing career, having seen it. They're too young for that. Deion peaked in the early 90s. And so, they're aware of what he's done as a college coach and they've seen him as an analyst and they kind of get who he is. But for me, I sit there and think as he's starting to talk and he's basically just saying, look, get out of here, leave. You guys suck. All of you. You're a terrible team. I'm bringing in all my new players. So call your parents, get whatever. You're all going to be gone. Harsh, really harsh on college kids. And yet, Deion has backed up everything he's done. It was thought preposterous a few years ago that Deion Sanders was going to be the head coach of a major college football program, which he was, and he went and immediately was fantastic. And it put together a great record, and seemed to know what he was doing in game. The recruiting was insane, as you know. And honestly, the only surprise I have here is that he actually settled for Colorado. I feel like Colorado's beneath him. I thought he could have got a bigger job. We're getting to the place now where we're in this interesting phase with coaching, where it's this. Some might call it a stunt hire, some may call it a celebrity hire. But Deion Sanders is a major college football coach. Jeff Saturday is the head coach of the NFL, and the Deion thing, though, is different because he showed up, and if he had just flopped and be like, this is a joke, you're Deion, you're not a head coach. Sure, you're famous and wealthy and you're like a legend, but you don't know how to coach. No, he did. It worked. He started work. And so, like, I feel like it's pretty harsh that those kids are being told, get out of here, you're not good enough. But Deion's just going to do it his way. He's not going to come in and say, hey, everybody, it's going to be great. I know you had a tough season last year, but I feel like I've been watching the film. There's a lot to build. And that's not what he's building. And that video that he made, that's performative. The video of him giving that speech telling hit the transfer portal, he's not talking to those kids. He's talking to all the people who might go to Colorado to join Deion and who want to be part of a cocky, confident, and brash, super talented program. You know, it was a recruiting pitch. He doesn't care about those kids. Those kids are not good enough for what he envisions. Deion is not a good enough coach, I don't know if anybody is, to take that same group of Colorado Buffaloes and turn them into some sort of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 win team, which is probably what he's trying to do. So he goes up there and he does this brutal truth, tough love thing, and he's talking to all these high school kids or maybe other college kids who could transfer to Colorado and saying, here's the deal. I'm Deion bleeping Sanders. I got Louis luggage. I'm a Hall of Famer. I'm the greatest cornerback ever. I'm one of the most famous players ever. I named myself Primetime. I was the coolest, flashiest guy. I got a rap album. I played baseball and football. You want to come play for me? Because if you do, you better be Louis luggage. We're not doing any of this crap. That sounds like the words of a jerk, but I think if you are a 17-year-old wide receiver or linebacker who wants to be part of something fun and flashy and new and hip, like, I can play with them. I'm Louis luggage. You check my tape, Coach Sanders, it's the brand he's doing. Those kids in the room, harmless bystanders, and hopefully they transfer somewhere else and get to play and go on to have great professional careers. But that was a recruiting tape that he puts out there for every other kid who's at Colorado. I'm not going to Colorado. What am I? I'm not skiing. That team's never been good in my entire lifetime. I don't even know who Cordell Stewart is. I don't know who Rashawn Salam is. I don't know who any of those guys are. Michael Westbrook. I don't know. It's that, like, put him on the map. If he goes and shows up and says, hey guys, it's great to be here. No one cares. There's no buzz. There's no sizzle. Deion's the head coach. Give us something. He did. And it was crude. Not crude, but it was a little bit cruel. And it was a little edgy. And it was a little bit cold. But it'll probably work. It probably got him recruits. And so, cold hard truth at the amateur level. But the game's changed. And he probably won some good players with that yesterday, Flynn.
Yeah, I keep seeing a couple of takes that say that speech was really a mental test to see which of the current Colorado players would actually stick it out and prove that they're capable. But like you said, it's a Colorado football team that didn't do much last year, and Deion Sanders not one to play head games. Like, Deion Sanders is going to come out and tell you what he thinks, and that's exactly what this is, a recruiting pitch to bigger players to build up that Colorado program the same way he built up Jackson State. Okay, let's move on. You mentioned last night you went to cut down your own tree, so I figured I'd grab some Christmas tree stats for you. According to the National Christmas Tree Association, about 1/4 of American households with a Christmas tree use a real one, and only about 16% of those actually go out and cut down their own, like you and Clark Griswold. 350 million Christmas trees are growing across the country at any given moment, and for every one that is cut down, 1 to 3 seedlings are planted the following spring. Kyle, nothing beats the look and smell of a real Christmas tree for me. How about you?
I like the real tree, but I respect the people who don't have it because they're stupidly expensive. It's such a dumb price, and it's one of those dumb prices that you pay and don't even consider it because you need a Christmas tree. Like, it's just part of your family's experience. It's part of how you want to raise your children, and you don't have a fake one, so you're like, well, it's December 4th. Like, I got to get a tree, and you show up, and it's Brooke paid. I was getting the car, so I actually don't know how much it was, but I think it was, $150 or something. There's our tree. That's it. I picked that thing up, and over my shoulder, it's a little bit of Schwarzenegger opening scene of Commando and a little bit Griswold, and someone said to me, hey, Brandt, where are you going to put a tree that big? And I said, bend over and I'll show you. And then they said, you got a lot of nerve talking to me like that, Brandt. And then I said, I wasn't talking to you. And I was kind of referencing the guy's wife. It was really rude. That didn't really happen. But in my mind, I want to have that exchange. So I went out and got the tree. It's this beautiful sprawling place where there's thousands of Christmas trees. And you sign up and they give you the saw. And then you walk around up and down the hills with your wife and kids and whoever, grandparents, and you like just start looking at trees. Is that one good? Is that one good? And the kids like the one. They're like, I want this one. That one always sucks. And then your wife picks out one and it's really nice, but it's probably a little too big. And then you pick out one and they hate the one you pick out. And then so eventually you settle on one and then like you get down on your hands and knees and the ground is always wet. And then like it always, whatever pants you're wearing always soaks through. And then you start sawing this thing and it's hard. And the saw gets stuck and you can't pull it out. And then you feel like calling the like Christmas tree carny for help. But then that feels emasculating because you should be able to cut down a tree by yourself. But eventually you work through it and you tear your rotator cuff and you're sweating that hot sweat in the cold weather. And I had my son who just turned 9. I got it to like there was one little wedge and I was like, come here, you want to push it down? And he pushed it down and like he, felt like he was some sort of superhero. But then you got to drag it out. It's a lot of work. It's offensively expensive. So I got a lot of friends too who have the fake trees and they just put that thing in the box and they put it away. But I like the real tree. I do. It's stupidly cost and like it's a pain and the needles get everywhere and it dries up, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I when you put the ornaments on and you feel those real pine needles and you smell them, it just feels authentic. You grab the trunk when you pull it in your house and it's all sappy and weird. I don't have anything bad to say about the fake trees. Fine, it saves you a bunch of money. I wish I could do it too. But I'm a real tree guy. And, when I grew up, my grandparents, I would go to their house, they had a fake tree. And they had one of these fake trees, what's the word? Flocked or says flocking? Flocking, I may be using the wrong word. But like it's when they have like fake snow like painted on it and it's crusted to it. Like there's the tree is basically white because it's covered in this fake sticky snow, and they would use that every year. And I thought that was like super fancy. That was always looked at to me as like the Rolls Royce of Christmas trees. But we just got this classic. I don't know what the hell it is. I don't speak trees. It's a spruce or some sort of thing. The underside of it is so light blue or light green. It's almost white. And so it's a nice tree. We like it. We do the same ornaments every year. It's a special part of it. And since we have like this little wood-burning fireplace, when the needles fall or some of the branches fall off, we throw them in the fire and it like crackles and everything. Look, that's Christmas. I like it. Flynn, I feel like you have strong opinions on this. You said you're a real tree guy. Are you listen, let's just be honest. Give me a modicum of honesty here. Do you look down on fake Christmas tree people? And it's okay to admit here, you're in a safe place.
I do. I feel like it's part of the glow of the season. Like you need a real tree. I have some research for you though. Google tells me.
What do you got?
You were right. Flocking, and there are 3 different kinds of flocking methods: flocking kit, flocking spray, or flocking powder. This is how to put fake snow onto a tree, and that you should allow yourself at least 3 hours to fully flock your tree.
I try to flock my tree at least a couple times a week. But you, Flynn, you know what's the most old-fashioned thing on Christmas decorating that I've never done? Have you ever actually strung the popcorn? You ever see that in movies? They have like popcorn string. Have you ever done that? You know what I'm talking about?
I do. I've definitely never done it personally. I don't think I've even ever been to a house that has done it. We do lights first, then garland, like the silver.
Yeah. Oh, you do that.
And then the ornaments, which is a pain right now because you just got the tree. The kids want to do the ornaments right away, but you really need to let the branches settle. You need to put the lights on. You need to put the garland on, and then you get the ornaments.
What does the Flynn family do for the top of the tree adornment? Do you go angel, star? Like, what do you got up there?
Star. What about the Brandt family? Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to say that we're pretty a secular family. So the star harkens to the nativity scene, certainly the angel. So we go with this big kind of bedazzled snowflake, which is nice. I like it. And we haven't put our kids in Sunday school or anything because we're a bunch of heathens. So it saves us from having to explain like, what is the star represent? It's just a snowflake, kid. It's great. And we have like a lot of Lightning McQueen ornaments and all that type of stuff. But I used to do the tinsel back in the 80s. For some reason, anytime you turn on one of these movies, they have string popcorn. which seems tedious, lame, and it would fall apart, and like it may have bugs or something. So I'm glad to hear that even though you are Mr. Christmas, you don't do that. But we're on the same page. I understand the price thing with the fake Christmas tree, but I'll go real, and I'll stand by that. You?
Yep, I agree 100%.
All right, you know what? One finger up for you, buddy. In fact, the thumbs up. Great job. Sorry I stumped you with the 7-finger thing. That's all the stories we got, right? Until next time?
That's it. We'll talk tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, buddy. All right, I'm going to go for the sky cam. I'm going to get a dart because we always end the show the same way. I throw the dart at the board. It hits a number, whatever the number of that corresponding topic is on the list. I'll ad-lib a little ditty about it. I've not seen the topics. I don't know what they are. But I'll tell you right now, you want to go on a magical journey with me? Let's go to this number. The number is... No! I hit the wall. Another hole in the wall, of which there are many. Let's try this again. Ready? Here we go. Yes. All right. That was cleared. That is 15. What is topic number 15 for the folks today at home in Kyle Brandt's basement? Oh, Christ. Speaking of Christmas. New York or Chicago pizza? The answer is yes. They're delicious. They're just great. I was raised on Chicago deep dish style pizza. Giordano's is my favorite, even though Lou Malnati's is the most famous. I like Giordano's. People want to make fun of it and say it's a casserole, you eat with a knife and a fork. I don't care. It's a giant heavenly pile of sauce and crust and cheese and toppings. It's delicious. So that is my favorite food on the planet, that and sushi. But for the pizza conversation, so I lived my whole life as my favorite food, and I would get it shipped to me from Chicago and dry ice and all that. And then my family and I moved to New York. And listen, the pizza's amazing here. It's amazing. The giant thin crust slices that you see in the movies, see on TV, maybe you've had them here in New York yourself, are so good. They're excellent. So listen, if you're going to ask me, I guess my sentimental favorite is the deep dish, and I stand by it, and it takes a lot of crap, and people like Jon Stewart, who have big platforms, go on and attack it and say it's not pizza. You think whatever you want, John. Eat whatever you want. I'm not in the business of sitting here competing over which has the best pizza. It's become one of these lame internet debates about oh God, is a hot dog a sandwich, or is Die Hard a Christmas movie, or would you rather fight 10 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck? I don't care. If there's pizza in front of me, I'm eating it, okay? That's it. You know, there's that expression about there's no bad pizza or bad sex or anything. I don't think that's true. If you think that's true, you haven't had much of either. I've had plenty of both. But I'm going to go with the Chicago deep dish. But if the New York's in front of me, I like Detroit-style pizza. Detroit-style pizza is excellent. Love it. I'll go Chicago. But that's it. Guys, tomorrow in the basement, probably looking like a Josh Allen Tuesday. For the first time, when it feels like a month, Josh Allen has a football game on Sunday, no Thursday. He'll be here. We'll be talking. We'll be spreading cheer. Shout out to fake Christmas tree people. We respect you too. We respect you. Whatever pizza you eat, what kind of tree you have. It's the holiday season, and we love you from Kyle Brandt's basement. See you tomorrow.